Welcome to today class. A reminder about our online class rules. Okay, keep your mic muted unless you are speaking. Raise your hand, use the raise hand tool if you need to say something. Also, be respectful, both when you are speaking to others or if you're using the chat, okay? And also make sure you have your stationery in front of you, like your notebooks and your pens, all right? And write down any notes that are necessary.
Yes, miss.
So I want you to look at this video next and write down what you think is a lesson topic for today, okay?
Hey Siri, what is the total number of new COVID cases today? Okay, let me check. It's 708 new COVID cases today. And yesterday were how many? 558 new COVID cases yesterday. And the day before? 519 new COVID cases on the day before. And the day before that, 601 new COVID cases. Okay, wait, stop. It's too much information. I wish there was an easier way to organize all this data.
Well, there might be. Maybe you can use a line graph.
A line graph? What's that?
Can you help Alexa and Siri find out what is a line graph?
And how useful it is in real life?
Okay. Now you can unmute your mics. So what do you think is the topic for today? What are we going to do today in class?
Line graph.
Right. What about line graphs?
I say how line graph is useful in real life.
Right.
Help I can't remember the name. Help them find the graph.
Right, very good. We will be looking at line graphs. We will define a line graph, identify examples of line graphs, and discuss real-life uses of a line graph. So let's look at the criteria attributes of a line graph. All right, so you've been divided into your groups already, and we will just use this link. I'll share it on the chat. All right. So, okay, so here are the instructions for today. These are some guiding questions to help you figure out the criteria attributes and then the definition of a line graph, okay? So first we have table 1 here, right? And table 1 consists of, on this side, it consists of examples of line graphs. You see in the mouse, right?
Yes, miss.
Right. So on this side, it consists of line graphs, examples. And on this side, it consists of non-examples of line graphs. Okay? You would use table 1 to guide you in answering these 4 questions. Then when you're finished with that part, you will go to table 2, again, which has examples of line graphs, all right, and non-examples. And again, you would answer, use E and F. All right, so go ahead. When you are completed, you could just let me know. Even if you're finished before time, you have 5 minutes. Each group has 5 minutes. If you are finished before time, you could always let me know. Okay?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So I've started the timer now. All right. You will have 5 minutes. When you've completed, you could either unmute your mics and let me know that you're finished, or you could raise your hand. Or you can send a message on the chat as well. All right? All right. I see one group has finished. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, group one, you all could go ahead and present. All right, who's presented from group one?
What is a line graph?
Mhm.
It is a chart with lines. What can a line graph be used to measure? A line graph can be a line graph usually shows patterns that changes with time. Or what type of data a line graph measures? Continuous data. What is the main characteristic of a line graph? Lines.
Okay, all right, and let's see your part E. Go ahead.
What are the characteristics of a good line graph? Lines, dots, legend, two-axis, title, and frequency, time. Frequency and time.
Okay. All right. Well, you don't have to read the definition part as yet, right? We'll discuss this further. Okay. Thank you, group one. Okay.
A line graph is a chart with lines that has points and axes. Line graphs are used to track changes over short and long periods of time. When small changes exist, line graphs are better to use than bar graphs. Line graphs can also be used to compare changes over the same period of time for more than one group. Line graphs are used to measure continuous data. The line graph consists of a horizontal x-axis and a vertical y-axis. Most line graphs only deal with positive number values. So these axes typically intersect near the bottom of the y-axis and the left end of the x-axis. The point at which the axes intersect is always 0 to 0. Each axis is labeled with a data type. For point at which the axis intersects. For example, the x-axis could be days, weeks, quarters, or years, while the y-axis shown in dollars.
All right. And what's the main characteristic of a line graph? What from the table here, what was the main thing that made it different from the non-examples?
That it uses a line to show the data.
Okay, all right. So I guess you answered the characteristics as well up here. Okay, I see that. And well, definition, as I ask you all to do, we will discuss the definition after again. All right. So good job, group two. All right, let's return. All right, great. Okay, so while you guys were talking, I compiled a list of your points, okay? So let me just put it in here.
Yes.
Your criteria attributes that everybody would have noted. All right, so you guys had a line graph is a chart. A line graph shows a change over time or patterns. A line graph represents continuous data. A line graph has data points. Some of you call it dots. It's the same thing, that are connected by line segments. A line graph has two axes. A line graph has axes which are evenly spaced due to a scale. A line graph has axes which are clearly labeled, and it has a title. Okay, so using these criterial attributes, now you all could go ahead and create your own definition. Let me just remove this. Right.
Write your own definition for what is a line graph.
So some of you may have had all the criteria, some of you may not have had all the criterial attributes. So now, using the list that we just compiled, you can go ahead and adjust your definition if you wanted to. Okay, I'll give you all 1 minute to do that. You can use the raise hand tool or send a message in the chat when each group is finished. Okay. All right, so everyone is finished. Nice. Let's see what you all have.
Yes. It is a graph that has lines and measures continuous data, and it shows a pattern that changes with time. There are dots to show the collected data, and there is a title in the graph, two axes, and there is a scale space out of all the numbers. It has a legend for different categories.
Okay, good. Okay, right. So somebody go ahead and read. What's your definition? This is group 2.
A line graph is a statistic chart that measures continuous data using lines and points. It has two axes. Axis must be labeled, name of axis, title of graph. It is used to track changes for short and long periods of time.
Okay, good. All right. All right, good job, everybody, on your definitions. Very good work. So here's a definition of what is a line graph. Okay, let me just put on the spotlighting tool. All right. Right, you can see clearly, right?
Yes, miss.
Great. Okay, so what is a line graph? A line graph is a statistical chart that represents changes in data values over time in the form of a line. Okay, so we have the changes in the data values over time, right, in the form of a line. Okay, A line graph represents continuous data that shows a relationship or a pattern. Each data point is connected by a line segment. A line graph has two axes, y-axis and the x-axis, which most of you pointed out, which intersect at right angles at the origin. Okay, so they intersect at a right angle to the origin, at the origin. A line graph has a vertical axis, the y-axis, which represents a dependent variable. And in this case, what is the dependent variable?
Number of students.
Yes, very good. A line graph has a horizontal axis, which is the x-axis, which represents the independent variable, which is usually time. Okay?
Yes.
So each axis is evenly spaced or divided by a scale. Okay? And the axes are clearly labeled. All right? So, most of you would have had a lot of these points in your definition. So use this definition to help you adjust your own definition, and whatever points you are missing, go ahead and add it and write it down into your books. Okay? Everybody understand that?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
So I'll give you 1 minute to write that out, or if you need any extra time. All right, let me know. Just use the raise hand tool when you're finished. Okay?
Miss, I'm finished.
Okay, very good. Let me see by show of hands all those who are finished. Okay. Right. Okay, very good then. Let's move on. All right, so you'll see a poll, right? I want you all to answer the poll. The question is this a good example of a line graph? Right? Is this a good example of a line graph? All right, great, fantastic. So all of you said that it's not a good example of a line graph. So can someone explain to me why it's not a good example?
No, because it used bars instead.
Instead of what?
Instead of lines.
Yes, very good. All right, that's the main reason. All right, let's go on to the next one. Let's look at this one. Is this a good example? So go ahead and answer in the poll. Use the poll to answer. All right, excellent. So the majority, all of you, 100 of you said, 100%, said that it's not a good example of a line graph. Can you tell me why? Somebody explain to me why?
It's not labeled.
What else is it missing?
It have no dots plotted.
Right, okay, good.
There are no points, don't have no time.
What else is missing?
There are no data.
Right.
Not
you
with
ready?
labels.
There are no scale.
No scale, no. What about the X and the Y? What's that you call that?
The y-axis and x-axis.
Does it have any?
No, yes.
Okay, right. Good. I see you all answered all this one really quickly. Is this a good example of a line graph? So all of you said yes. Can you tell me why? Somebody explain to me why you think this is a good example of a line graph?
Miss the data points and the lines.
Very good. What else?
The axis label dots line.
Right. Okay. So you're seeing dots which represent the data points, and they are all connected by lines. And you're seeing the two axes. What else are you seeing?
It's labeled and it's spaced out properly.
Does it have time?
Time on.
That time on the x-axis.
Very good.
It's about x and y-axis, miss.
Yes, very good. It has two axes. What else about the axes you notice?
Title.
Yes, it has a title. Very good. Okay, so what do you all think? Are line graphs useful in real life?
Yes, miss. Miss, because you could see the information and then in a graph.
Best to keep track of something.
Right. Why would you want to keep track of data or information?
To see if it's improving or you're losing from it, you're gaining.
Right, very good. Nice. Anybody else?
Right, Miss, see trends are what happening and things.
Right, good. So let's look at this video.
Periods of time.
So repeat that, sorry.
Over periods of time.
Yes, very good. You want to see changes over periods of time. Let's look at this video. Everyone can see?
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Yay! Now we can define and identify line graphs.
What are some real-life uses of line graphs?
I want you all to have your pen and your paper in front of you. All right. And I want you, as you're looking at the video, to write down any main points about whether a line graph is useful in real life or not. Okay, what information you gather from the video that helps you decide whether or not a line graph is useful. Okay?
Let me check.
So Jim stayed home 4 days in infancy, then 7 days in standard 1, then 7 days in standard 2, then 9 days in standard 3, then 0 days in standard 4, then 1 day in standard 5. Now, this information is represented in words, right? This line graph shows the same information represented visually. Okay, as an image. So which type of data do you think it's easier to understand?
The line graph.
And why would you think it's the line graph?
Because the information is shown clearer.
How is it shown clearer, like as opposed to what?
Right, miss, you see the information easier instead of having a whole set of words to read. You see everything one time in front of you.
Right, exactly. Very good. Okay, so where in real life would you see a graph like this?
See it in school, miss?
It's easier for Mrs. Mahabir to track Jim's attendance over the years using a line graph. all right? And it's easier because it's a visual representation of the data rather than having it in words, which can become cumbersome. Okay, it's easier organized in a line graph, all right? So you can write down your points, summarize your own points in your book. All right. So let's look at this graph next, okay? As some of you have already said, we can use line graphs to track data. And in this case, it's to track the number of push-ups in physical education class, right? It could also be used in your SBA reports. Did you know that? In your SBAs, you would need to plot line graphs depending on the type of information that you had to plot, okay? If it would show changes in data over time. All right, now, where in real life would you see a graph like this? Where else?
Miss, if you're doing push-ups and working out every day, miss, you could track time exercising, miss.
Okay, all right. So, all right, so you could probably use it in a gym then, right? Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So I want you all to look at this graph next. Okay. Where in real life would you see a graph like this?
In business companies, like when they're having meetings, they show the...
Yes.
Maybe see it on TV, and
right, good. So you could probably see it at a TV station. Now, why would a TV station need a graph like this?
To see the numbers increasing.
Right, very good, to see the numbers increasing. And if the numbers are increasing, what do you think they would decide to do?
They will decide to upgrade whatever they're doing, or say it in a different way, or choose something else for people to be attracted to what they are doing.
Very good. And how did you know that the numbers were increasing, by the way?
Because it started from 0 and then it went to 5.9 and then 7.8.
Nice, very good. So you see that there's like an increasing pattern, right? So therefore, the line graph helps us decide all this information, okay? It helps us see a pattern, whether it's increasing or decreasing. And based on that pattern, we will know whether to make a decision. And in this case, as you were saying, the decision is, since it's increasing, then maybe we could upgrade the show or keep it running because people like it. Yes?
Yes, miss.
So Siri predicts by week 7, the number of views for her TikTok video could be 12 million, right? So another example could be, it could be a TikTok video or a YouTube video, the numbers of views for those types of videos as well, right? And why would Siri want to know how many people looked at her TikTok video?
To see if whatever she's doing is entertaining people.
Right. And if that's the case, what decision do you think she might need from that?
To make more content of that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that's another use of line graphs. I want you to jot it down in your book, okay? So it helps you to look at patterns to make decisions for the future. Okay? Are we okay now?
Yes, Miss.
Yes.
So Miss, is to know how much people watching the show to see if they like it or not.
Right, yes, very good. Right, and again, that's a decision that they'll make based on looking at the pattern. Okay, well done. Can I continue now?
Yeah, Miss.
All right, so look at this line graph here. Look at this line graph here. Now it shows the number of new positive COVID cases, right? Around the days from 14th of May to the 21st of May. This is the information, which is the number of new positive COVID cases that Siri and Alexa were discussing. Okay? Look at the line segments. Now, before I tell you that, I want you to observe this. Do you see this line segment here? It increased. Are you seeing my mouse by chance?
Yes, Miss.
Right. Then it decreased a little bit. Then it increased again. Increase, decrease, increase. Are you seeing a pattern by chance?
Yeah, yes, Miss. We seen a pattern.
Do you think then that you could predict where it's going to go next?
Yes, Miss. Stay down a little bit again before it goes up again.
All right. Looking at this data, what would you decide then? If we presented this information for you, and this is current, right? The number of new positive COVID cases, what would you decide? Would you make any decisions here? How would you feel? What would you think? So what if I told you let's pretend that today is the 21st of May, okay? And I told you on the 21st of May, it's 708 new cases just today on 21st of May. What would you decide then? What would you think?
I would stay inside.
Miss, I'm not going outside.
Right, exactly. And why would you decide that? Why would you think so? Why would you feel so?
Because the graph will show that they have a increase in the COVID cases, Miss. So you wouldn't want to go outside, Miss.
Right, okay. So the line graph shows the daily trend in the number of new COVID-19 cases. The Prime Minister uses this trend to make a decision that measures should be taken to reduce the number of daily cases. All right, and one example of a measure was to enforce a curfew. All right. So again, how is this line graph useful in real life to help us? Based on this information and based on what the Prime Minister would have done.
It helps make future decisions and plans.
Right, exactly. And in this case, the future decision was that, okay, the number of COVID cases was too high, and therefore we need to make sure that people stay home by enforcing a curfew, right? Okay, let's continue. You can jot that point down, okay? And where have you noticed line graphs in real life?
Miss, some could be like on the hospital wall as a hospital data, basically.
Right. Okay, so we could use it in hospitals where they visually show you it. And why would they want to visually show you this information? Why didn't they put it in a table or something? Why they want to put it in a line graph?
Because it has good content where we could read it better from on the line graph itself.
Right, very good, because it's easier to see. Very good. So where else besides that?
Miss, I can see the report on it.
Right, good. So any type of report, like for example, like the SB reports or even the government reports talking about the statistics for the health. Where else?
Miss, I see the newspaper and too.
Right, very good. Where in newspaper would you usually see it?
To see the weather, to see COVID report and then that they print sometimes.
Right, yes, that's true.
As we the newspaper we see it in sometimes I see it in books and magazine and thing too.
Yes, very good, very good. All right, well done, guys. So, explain why line graphs are useful to us in real life and give a specific example to explain that. All right, I'll give you a few minutes. Go ahead and fill out your answer. All right, so 1 minute again. Wonderful work, everybody. All right, so let's look at some answers now. Okay, so it is useful because we would be able to see the increase or track changes instead of using words. Yes, very good. So it gives us a visual representation. Okay, very good. Line graphs show patterns that help us make important decisions and plans for the future. Line graphs display data easily than stating it with words. It can help track the weather, so we know that precautions to take for specific days of the week. Very good. Line graphs can make data easier to see the information given than to read it from a book. Patterns and decisions are made faster from it. It helps show that if you are doing something to entertain people, if they are enjoying it or not. Okay, very good. A line graph will help with data to make wise choices and see patterns. Like for a teacher to see if students coming to class or if the COVID-19 cases are too high. Very good. Graphs are useful to us in real life because it can help us keep track of changes over periods of time, to keep track of your YouTube subscribers and see if your account is gaining or losing subscribers, or to even see which gender subscribes more and to see what age groups interact with your channel. Very good. Line graphs are useful in that they show data variables and trends very clearly and can help to make predictions about the results of data not yet recorded. Last one, line graphs are useful to us because they are used to track changes over short and long periods of time. Okay, class, I'm very proud of you. Well done. Okay. All right, let's move on now. All right, so a job well done, everyone. Let's recap everything that we have learned today. Let's look at this video now. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Miss.
Fantastic. All right, so let's look at this video and the characters are going to ask you questions. I'll pause it and you all can answer me, okay?
Okay, great. I understand what is a line graph and some of its uses. Okay, but I kinda forgot. Can you remind me please again?
What are some criteria attributes of a line graph?
Data points.
Data points, very good. Anything else?
The lines, miss.
Right, we have line segments, we have data points. Anything else?
Scale.
Scale. Anything else? Important criteria attributes?
Y-axis and the x-axis.
Very good. And on which axis do we usually measure time on?
The x-axis.
Very good.
And what is the definition of a line graph?
Line graph is a graph that uses lines to show changes in data.
You all could help her. I know it's a long definition, so you all could help her.
Right, miss. A statistical chart that has lines and data points, and it shows changes over time. And the x-axis.
Yes, very good. All right, so that's good.
What are some real-life uses of a line graph?
Tracking time over tracking changes over time.
Yes, very good. We can track changes over time. That's one.
The COVID cases raising.
Why was that knowing the COVID cases? Why was that important to have it on a line graph?
Because it shows basically how it increases, then it decreases, then it increases again.
Right. So it helps us to interpret information to do what? To see patterns to do what?
To make decisions.
Very good, right? So it helps us to make decisions as well based on the patterns that we see. Yeah. Anybody else?
Missy pattern showed the relationship from today and yesterday, whether it gone higher, whether it gone lower.
Right. Very good.
So when you see the pattern, Miss, you'll be able to know what to do, Miss, and make decisions and things after.
Right. Very good. All right.
And which one is a line graph and why?
All right, so let's look at these two statistical charts. All right, which one is a line graph and why? So I labeled them A and B, so you could decide which one. Just tell me the letter. So I want you to put your answers on the chat for me, everybody. Very good. All right, so I see the majority of you said statistical chart A. Can you tell me why? Why do you think it's a line graph?
Miss, it have an axis, the one that have the line and it is a line graph, and it have an axis, Miss.
Axis, yes.
Yeah, a segment.
Good, yes, so it has line segments, it has data points. So why is this, why is B not?
Miss, B is a bar chart.
Right, so what does it have in it that makes it different from the line graph? What main characteristic in that one? We discussed.
Bars.
Very good, bars, okay? Right?
Because B is bars and the next one is lines.
Right, data points and lines, okay? Very good.
Right, I understand now. Thank you for your help.
Bye.
All right. All right, so for homework today, you would have to upload an image or print screen of a real life example of a line graph, okay? And when you are right, I want you to put a little explanation. I want you to state what the line graph shows in it. I want you to identify the criteria attributes that makes the example of the graph a line graph. And you can look in books, magazines, newspapers, or internet, or anywhere else you find a line graph and state your source, okay? So we'll know where you got it, okay? We'll discuss this tomorrow in class. Here's the link on Google Classroom. It's there on Google Classroom, by the way, so you will find the link automatically, all right? So let's go to our final evaluation. All right, and thank you all. Have a great day. After this, you all would be able to leave, okay?
Bye, Miss.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, Miss.
Bye. Remember to do the quiz before you leave, okay? All right, so now we have a game. Okay. Which one do you all want? You all want the Himalaya or you want the space or underwater? I think I have it as underwater.
I want space.
Space, all right, so space it is. Let's continue. Enjoy, go ahead and answer your questions, okay? So I blocked off your names, right? Right. Okay, great.